to my channel. It's Tia here. If you are new, please like and subscribe. For today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about me going to the hospital once again. So in the last video I did of this, I went to the hospital and they found out that I had an ovarian cyst and that the pain would last for 7 to 10 days, and it is kind of gone now, but at the same time, like, I feel like it comes and goes, so I truly don't know what is going on with me. An update from that video is like I got my period like the beginning of the month, I'm pretty sure, and then 2 weeks later, like, I'm magically on my period again. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with me? Like, I've never got my period like 2 weeks early. I'm pretty sure like that's kind of bad. Like, I don't know like what's happening, so I'm gonna go back to my doctor and talk to her about that because I don't know what's wrong with that. But on this trip to the hospital, I went to my doctor and I told her that I felt like a lump in my chest or whatever. So instantly, like, I start panicking and I'm like, yo, like, is this breast cancer? Because breast cancer does run in my family. And 1 year ago, I had told my doctor, I was like, yo, I feel like a lump, like I feel like kind of weird. And she's like, it's probably nothing, like that's probably like one of those normal like growing lumps, blah blah blah, like one breast is normally larger than the other one. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. But now, like a whole year later, like one day I was standing and I got like a sharp pain in my chest and I was like, oh, like a sharp pain. I was like, yo, like what was that? Like, it was like all of a sudden. And then I was like, yo, like I gotta get this checked out. So I went back to her, like I made like a quick appointment, and then she was like feeling it and everything. She's like, it feels pretty normal, like the same as last year, blah blah blah. And I made sure to bring that up to her. I was like, you told me last year that this was normal, so why is it like now hurting all of a sudden? And like I've read that like cancer or like lumps, they can like stay in your body forever, like for a long period of time, and you'll like never notice them until they start hurting and stuff. So I'm thinking like, is this cancer? Like, what is this? And she's like feeling it and she's like, I think it's pretty normal, but I'm gonna have you go to the breast cancer center to like get like a little ultrasound, and so they can see what it is, because I don't know, like it doesn't seem serious, but it might be, so just go get checked out. But like she was saying, overall it doesn't seem that serious. And then so I was like, okay, fine. So she said she was gonna like call another nurse like at the hospital, and then the nurse was call somebody else to schedule the appointment and everything. So 2 weeks later, like I was supposed to have the appointment, but like apparently the nurse like never set up the appointment or whatever. And so I'm like, dang, like what is taking her so long to schedule it? And I had to call her and I'm like, yo, like I'm supposed to get like a breast ultrasound, like, and you're supposed to schedule my appointment, like why haven't you done that? And she was like, yeah, I did that the same day you went to the doctor, like about 2 weeks ago on St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, did you? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I'll call you right back. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I guess she called the hospital and tried to make an appointment, because I told her like I was free any day. And then she calls me back 10 minutes later and she's like, oh, I have an appointment for you tomorrow at 11:30. Are you free? Are you good? I'm like, yeah, that's good. But I'm thinking like why did it take her like 2 weeks to make this appointment, and now she can make it like all of a sudden? Like, is there empty spaces? Like, what happened? And I'm on the phone with her. She's telling me like you can't wear deodorant or perfume or like any like makeup on your chest and or like powders or anything, because it messes up with the ultrasound. And then I'm like, okay. And then I asked her, specifically ask her, I'm like, is it the FAR building, like the building next to the hospital, or is it the actual hospital? And she's like, it's the actual hospital. I'm like, okay, if you say so. So I should have just listened to my gut at that point. But so this morning I wake up for my appointment and I'm like, okay, gotta leave the house at this time to be there at this time, because they want you to get there like 30 minutes early in case there's any like paperwork or anything you have to sign. So I drive to the hospital. It takes me forever to find a freaking parking spot, because I guess everyone is dying that day. But yeah, I go drive, find a parking spot, and then I go in, they like take my temperature, and I'm like, I'm here for a breast ultrasound. And then the lady looks at me like, okay, you can go sit over there. I'm like, okay. And I go sit over there for like 5 minutes. And then I have to sign in. And then this other lady is like, okay, you can come over here. And I sit at the desk and everything. And she has like my name pulled up ready to like look at the appointment or whatever. And then she's like, then I'm like, she's like, what are you here for? And I'm like, a breast ultrasound. She's like, oh, she's like, that's in the other building. I'm like, bro, like I specifically asked the nurse on the phone like which building was it, and she lied to me. Like how could she lie to me like that? So I asked the lady, I'm like, so oh, like the building further down? She's like, yeah, like that's where they do all the breast stuff, because that's like the breast cancer center. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like after I spent 10 minutes finding a parking spot, like now I have to leave. So then I have to run back out, and it's already like 11 o'clock, and then I have to drive to the center. Like luckily, like it's right next door, so it's like 2 minutes away. So I drive there, find a parking spot over there, which is so annoying. And then I go into the center, and I have to wait in there, and it was like a couple of ladies in there. And I always like hate going into those places because like I feel so bad, because it's like I look young and healthy, so like all those people are like old and like who knows what's wrong with them, and they're like looking at me like it's like they're silently judging, like look at this young healthy girl, like she probably has breast cancer, she gonna be like us, or like I can just feel them like looking at me and judging me. But whatever, that's probably just my anxiety and overthinking. But yeah, so I'm waiting in there, and I wait for about 10 minutes, and then I talk to this lady, and she's like getting all my information. She's like asking me all these questions, and I'm like, yo, just like hurry up, like I was supposed to be here 10 minutes ago. And I'm waiting again and again. It's like so much waiting when it comes to these things. It's annoying. But I go to the back, and then she tells me to go in this little room, and then you like put on the little cloth thing, like you take off your shirt and you put on the cloth thing, and then you're waiting in there, and then the nurse calls you into the ultrasound room. And like this, it was like, I don't know why, like I thought it was exciting because I always wanted to get like an ultrasound done, like, but obviously like I've never been pregnant, and I'm not going to be like anytime soon. So I was like, dude, an ultrasound, this is so fun, it's like on TV. But yeah, so she puts a little squishy stuff right there, and then she's like moving it around and like taking pictures. I'm like, yo, like imagine like I'm gonna have to be doing this like one day to like look at an actual baby, like. But yeah, so she's like checking everything out, and I'm trying to like think of like, I'm trying to like read her face, like if it's like good or bad, because obviously they're not gonna like be like, oh, like dang, she got cancer, like she's not gonna be like that. So I was like trying to like study her face, and she's like taking pictures. She was taking like so much pictures. I'm like, did she find a bad lump or a cancer cell, like what? And she's taking pictures, and then she's like, well, looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go get the doctor to look at it. And I'm like, okay. So she's saying it looks good, my other doctor said it looks good, but I'm thinking like in the back of my mind, I'm like, what if it's just like a small thing and they can't like detect it yet on their little machines and stuff, and they have to wait till it grows bigger? Like that's just how I think. Not really pessimistic, but I just think of every scenario that happens. But the guy doctor came, I guess he like looked at the scan, the pictures and everything. He was like, oh, you're all clear, you're all clear, I don't see anything wrong. And I'm like, so what is this lump then? Because I feel like my like chest is like all of a sudden like this one is growing like so fast for some reason. This one like feels normal, like not a lot of pain when you touch it, but this one is like heavier, like it's like two different cup sizes at this point. So I'm like, how is nothing wrong with me? But he was like, oh, everything good to go, blah blah blah, we're gonna send these results to your other doctor and you're good to go. I'm like, well, if you say so, like if I have cancer in a year, it's on y'all, like. But yeah, so overall they didn't find anything. So now I have another doctor's appointment in about 2 weeks, I think. And so like I want to hear what she has to say about it, like, because I don't know, like I feel a lump, and I hate that because I don't know, like maybe it's just my boobs are just like growing like normally, and they're just like starting to get bigger all of a sudden. But it's like, no, I hate that because I was at the perfect size. Like I'm not trying to be huge or small, like So that was it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all that, and see you guys in my next video.